This story happened to my girlfriend and me last summer. It was our first time traveling together as a couple, and we were thrilled. She'd joined me on a family vacation once, but being alone together felt like a memorable and important next step. The trip was memorable, but not for the right reasons. For privacy, I'll call my girlfriend Vanessa. One crucial detail to mention up front is that Vanessa constantly reminds me that I'm far too nice and generous when meeting people. She claims there's a difference between normal politeness and my version of nice, which apparently involves treating every new person like my best friend. Her words, not mine. I'm an overly friendly guy, and it's gotten me into trouble many times, but only once did it almost cost me dearly. This story begins on our way to Ocean City, Maryland, a fun tourist town. It's essentially a large coastal town with countless condos, hotels, and restaurants, mostly right on the ocean. I used to go there with my family as a kid, and this was my first adult visit. About 20 minutes from our condo, I pulled over at a gas station to fill up and grab some drinks. Inside, a guy who later introduced himself as Henry bumped into me. He apologized profusely. I put my hands up, assuring him it was fine and probably my fault anyway. Henry was good-looking, wearing a mostly unbuttoned pink and black button-up shirt. He had kind eyes and made direct eye contact. He was probably in his late 20s, though I can't be sure. We chatted for a minute or two in line, and I mentioned we were headed to Ocean City. He lit up, saying he and his girl were also going. I got excited by this genuine interaction. I love meeting people and making friends. One of my weaknesses, which Vanessa sees as a flaw, is my inability to see bad in people, though I consider it a strength. Henry asked to exchange numbers, and I did without hesitation. I told him I'd call sometime during the week, and we could link up at the beach or grab dinner. We shared a bro hug and went our separate ways. When I got back in the car, Vanessa immediately knew I'd made a new friend from my excited demeanor. I told her the story, and she just rolled her eyes. We arrived at the condo that afternoon and had a relaxing evening in our room. Our fifth-floor room overlooked the ocean. We sat on the balcony, admiring the view until bedtime. The next day, we went to the beach early, both early risers. We set up our chairs a little after 7 a.m. and drank coffee on the beach. A few hours later, I heard someone shout my name from behind me. I turned to see Henry waving with a woman following him. She was nothing like Henry. He mirrored my energy and mannerisms, but she looked miserable. Pale, most of her face hidden by huge sunglasses and a large sun hat. She wore leggings and a long-sleeved button-up shirt, and carried a large, seemingly empty tote bag. This was a woman who clearly disliked the sun. She said little. Henry introduced her as his woman friend, Sarah. She just waved, offering an unenthusiastic smile. She was the polar opposite of the Henry I'd met. After an awkward introduction, Henry asked if they could join us, and of course, I agreed. The more the merrier was always my motto. They had no chairs or beach gear. Henry simply plopped into the sand while Sarah stood. I offered her my chair. She hesitated for a second, then took it. As we sat, Henry told us they were staying in the building directly next to ours. My mind was blown. I couldn't believe the odds. This was a major red flag for Vanessa, but not for me. We hung out for another hour or so before heading back to our room. Before we left, Henry repeatedly asked if we could all go out for a drink that night, but I could tell Vanessa didn't want to, so I just said I'd call him if we decided to go out. Back in the room, Vanessa voiced her concerns. She said Henry seemed fake and gave her major creep vibes. She also called Sarah one of the rudest people she'd ever met. Complaining about the sun the entire time, Vanessa made a great point. Who comes to a beach town, hates the beach, and then goes to the beach without a chair? towel, umbrella, or anything? I agreed she made excellent points and promised not to call Henry for the rest of the trip. The last thing I wanted was to ruin Vanessa's vacation. That night, I was on the balcony, smoking a cigar even though it wasn't allowed. It was late, but I'm unsure of the time. I looked down at the beach and swore I saw Sarah walking alone. She had the big tote bag, the big hat, and the same outfit from earlier. I was too far away to be certain. I went back inside, ready for bed. Vanessa was already asleep. I went to lock the door and thought I heard someone talking outside. This wouldn't normally be concerning, as there are several condos on the floor, but the talking sounded like it was right outside my door. I tried to listen, but it was just incoherent mumbling. I got close to the door to check the lock. Before I could grab the doorknob, I noticed it shook, as if someone was trying to open it from the other side. Instead of running or panicking, I politely shouted that they had the wrong room. I heard footsteps running away. I assumed someone had mistakenly tried to get into the wrong room. Accidents happen. I stayed awake a little longer to ensure no other surprise guests arrived. Nobody else came, and I went to sleep. The next day, the same thing happened. Henry and Sarah seemingly appeared out of nowhere and joined us on the beach. They were wearing the same clothes again. Normally, that wouldn't be weird on a beach if you were wearing a bathing suit. But Henry and Sarah were not. He was still in the same outfit from the gas station, and she was in the same outfit as the day before. We didn't spend much time at the beach that day. I could tell Vanessa was completely done with these two. I politely told Henry that Vanessa and I were going back to the room for a while, then having a romantic dinner out. I told him I'd text him if we were up for a drink later. He seemed overly excited for some reason and let us go. While we were getting ready to leave, I looked out the balcony and saw Sarah standing on the ground where the beach met the condo patio. She wasn't facing the building. She was facing the ocean. It was weird that she was in front of our building, not where they were supposedly staying. But the weirdest thing was that Henry was nowhere to be found. She was by herself. I watched her for a while, which made me feel like a creep. A few minutes later, Henry emerged from what looked like the bottom of our building. I watched him go over to Sarah. He started waving his hands around, then stormed off in the opposite direction from where they were staying. Sarah waited a few seconds and then followed him. That whole interaction felt weird, but who am I to judge? Once Vanessa was ready, we left the condo for dinner. While we were out, my phone kept ringing. It was Henry. I didn't answer. After dinner, we started walking back to the condo, only a few blocks away. Henry called again. Vanessa told me to text him back and say we were going to bed, so he'd stop calling. So I texted him, saying we were walking back from dinner and going to bed early. Immediately, my phone started ringing. It was Henry. I didn't answer. Finally, he sent a message that read, "Hey buddy, let's meet for a drink before you get back. It's too early to go to bed." Vanessa rolled her eyes, and even I was getting annoyed now. I responded with another text that said, "Thanks for the offer, but we're going to bed. We're already about to be at the condo." Then I received the weirdest text of all, one that may have had other implications. "Don't go to your room yet." We both stopped, contemplating the text while standing in the condo parking lot. Henry was strange, but was he capable of something malicious? Vanessa thought so. We got to the room a few minutes later and noticed the door was slightly open. I know for a fact I did not leave the door open. Vanessa started to panic and waited in the hall. I slowly entered the room, relieved everything looked as we left it, at least at first. Then I started noticing things that weren't. The balcony door was open, but no one was out there. In the bedroom, both our suitcases were completely ransacked. The only things missing were a pair of Jordans I'd brought, Vanessa's bathing suit, and a picture of us we'd printed and left on the dresser. We called the police, telling them we suspected Henry and Sarah, but those were almost certainly fake names. The condo next door had no record of a Henry staying there, and the only Sarah in the building was not that Sarah. When they tried to track the phone, it was no longer in service. The local police told us that it's not something that happens a lot in that town, but occasionally some people will try to rob tourists. We were just some of the unlucky people who were chosen. I guess the only thing I took from this experience is that I really need to be more careful about who I trust. And if anyone out there visits Ocean City, Maryland, just be careful because somewhere out there, Henry and Sarah are still lurking. In moments of fear, uncertainty, or danger, reciting Ayatul Kursi acts as a powerful shield. It reminds us that Allah is the ultimate protector over all things. Recite it after every prayer, before sleeping, and when leaving home. No harm can touch you when Allah's protection surrounds you.